I'm Bruce Buffer. It's time for the Anthony Gargano Show.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Happy playoff Wednesday to all across the Delaware Valley. Oh, now it starts to get real. We hit midweek. We're just a couple days away from the games. Playoff weekend begins on Saturday. And then, of course, Sunday, 4:30 is kickoff. Eagles, Packers. This is the Anthony Gargano Show presented by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Go to TrueMark.com/PHLY to learn about the credit union difference. All right. Now, as we look at it and we analyze, Jalen's going to be back. Today he'll practice, my guess, and then tomorrow he'll wake up, he'll say there's no symptoms, and he'll get reinstated from concussion protocol. The Eagles waived Ian Book, which is the telltale sign. He was their emergency third quarterback. So that's that'll happen this week with Jalen. I think today's a perfect day to look back at what has been a terrific season for this Eagles team. I mean, like a remarkable season when you think about it. Let's go through it for a second. And of course, it starts as we bookend the season with Green Bay and the 34-29 victory in Brazil. It started off and we were like, the offense looked good, and we were able to kind of, go in on a bad field in a weird situation, which was the opener on a Friday night in Sao Paulo. The Eagles win the first game. They lose game 2 back in Philadelphia, 22-21. And if you think about it, there was no A.J. Brown in that game. They lose to Atlanta. It was kind of a weird game, kind of a strange game. They could have won easily. They come back with a 15-12 win over the Saints. Again, there's no A.J. and there's no Devontae in that game. It continued in week 4. That's when all the panic started. They lost to Tampa 33-16. But again, the mitigating factors here is there's no A.J. Brown and there's no Devontae Smith. So, like, the 2 losses were without the major weapons that they had. And, of course, there was the week 4 and who are you and what about the defense? The defense didn't tackle. It was kind of an ugly game against Tampa. Todd Bowles has the number, and we start to wonder, what about Nick Sirianni? What about Jalen? Is Jalen okay with Nick? And there was all that stuff. Will Nick survive the season? There was all kinds of craziness that ensued after that loss, which was easily explained by no A.J. Brown and no Devontae Smith. So here they are, 2-2, and then this is when they go on the roll, right? You got the win over Cleveland. It was ugly, but they win the game. They smashed the Giants 28-3. They come in and they beat the Bengals. I thought this was a very impressive game. It's when their defense started to really kind of shine a little bit. And you got Cooper DeJean in as the starter. You look around, you went, wow, man, they beat Burrow and Cincinnati 37-17. I mean, it was a huge game. That's when they really turned it over to Saquon. I mean, Saquon against the Giants the week before, Saquon against Cincinnati. Eagles look very, very potent. They come back, they kind of sleepwalk, but they beat Jacksonville. Not really a threat, 28-23. Then it was a lot of hype because Washington had the hot start. Oh, my God, Jaden Daniels, the whole thing. Well, Eagles win that game 28-23. 26-18. And then it started two really kind of pivotal games. It was Sunday night in Los Angeles. And this was going to be a test because the Rams had their receivers back. Both Cooper Kupp and Puka Nacua had returned from injury. And this was going to be a big deal, right? Like, okay, this is the test on the young defense. What would this be like? Well, they dominate the game. They dominate the second half. Saquon goes nuts on Sunday Night Football, over 200 yards. The big runs that capped that game was really impressive, 37-20. And then you go, all right, well, that was nice, but now you got Baltimore, and Baltimore's probably going to be an L. And yet it wasn't, because they go to Baltimore, and in what, again, was a terrific game by the defense. They hold Lamar in check. They do just enough offensively. They don't have the ball a lot, but the defense is able to really dominate the play, dominate the game, and they shocked the Ravens. That was a big win. Back-to-back, they beat Baltimore 24-19. So you had two monster wins back-to-back with the Rams and Ravens. They come back. It was a complete letdown game against Carolina. They get lucky at the end, if you remember, and they escape with a 22-16 win. And then, look, the third loss is against Washington, and Jalen plays only 11 snaps. So you go, oh, my God, they've only lost 3 games. They could have easily won 2 of them. And the other one, they didn't have any A.J. Brown or Devontae Smith. Come back, you crush the Cowboys, and then you beat the Giants with Tanner McKee, 14-3. And you look around, you go, yeah, this was one of the greatest seasons in the history of the franchise. You had the T.O. year, you had, which was the Super Bowl 04, right? You had the 2017 into 2018, the Super Bowl year, where they had a great regular season. You had the second Super Bowl year where they lose to Kansas City, where they look terrific in Nick Sirianni's second year. This 14-3 goes down in the history of the franchise as one of the greatest ever. So going into Green Bay, I don't know. I mean, there's a reason why Baldy says they're going to go 4-0 and there's going to be a parade here. Now, I don't want to play that stuff out before you play against Green Bay, but there's a reason for incredible optimism just because of how dominant this team is. We're nervines in Philadelphia, right? We're always going to find something to worry about, something to sit back and go, oh, my God, oh, my God, oh, my God. They're 14-3. And it could easily have been 15-1 where the one loss is without their 2 best receivers. I mean, it's pretty much a remarkable season. We got to look back and celebrate this thing. This was a badass regular season. Look at this. Look at this. Good morning, my boys.
What up? I feel like I'm at the
VG, the bro.
It's like being at the pub with my favorite guys. I could go for a beer right now.
Yeah. Crack them open, man. We got them in the fridge.
Yeah.
Anything for you guys.
I'm trying to be good until the weekend because, holiday season.
Yeah,
it's always easy to open a bottle.
But here's the thing, though.
A few pounds over the holiday season.
Yes, believe me, I know. But here's the thing. It's football continues the holidays.
This
right?
is why dry January is such a dumb idea.
It's stupid.
It's terrible timing. Terrible timing.
It should be like dry
mid-February to mid-March.
Right.
Yeah.
Or even April. I think a dry April. March, you got some college hoops and stuff.
Well, that's my point.
That's
but his point is right, though. Middle of February to middle of March.
Yeah. Kick it off at St. Patty's and tip off.
Right.
Yeah.
Like
right after the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Right? Yeah. Beginning of Lent.
It's a drinker's Lent.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
You're down. You do your Fat Tuesday. Super Bowl's your Fat Tuesday.
Yeah.
Right? That leads into the first day of Thursday of March Madness.
All right. So how about we go Super Bowl? Yeah. The first day of March Madness.
Yeah. I think that's a good time.
Yeah. That's the best stride.
Yeah.
That's dry. That's fine. Like,
right.
That's where, you got to buckle down.
Yeah. We cracked the code.
Right. Don't eat. Right.
Yeah.
You eat salads. Right. And then
Salads.
Some quinoa.
That's it.
Yeah.
Right?
Keto bowls.
Yeah.
And-
Some
and-
garbanzo beans. He's big on the garbanzo beans.
I like a garbanzo.
All right.
It's no chickpea, but you know.
I like a chickpeas.
Well, it's the same thing, right?
Yeah, same thing.
Is it?
Yeah.
I thought they're different.
No,
No,
it's the same. It's really weird marketing.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I always thought the chickpea was different than the garlic. My wife makes a bean soup,
Ooh, I like a bean soup.
which is with a tomato base
Yeah.
with a little pastina.
Like a like not a pasta vajou.
Sort of, but it's got all the
A nice Tuscan white bean.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
It's got
baby.
like 4 different kinds of beans.
Cannellini.
Right? Yeah. It's got cannellini.
Hell yeah.
Got all the beans. All the fagioli.
Never
Right?
thought we'd be in a bean
I
conversation.
know. So I ask you guys, this is one of the great regular seasons. I think back to the regular seasons of past, and I go, this one is as good, if not better, than any of them.
They have the #1 defense in the NFL. Like Uncle Vic, contract for life. I hope you're here for the next 10 years.
And he'll only be 70. I thought he's in his 70s. I just realized yesterday he's 66. That's not that old.
No. And if the Phillies stay good, you keep them here, you know?
Oh, without a
He
doubt.
said he
Yeah.
doesn't want a head coaching job.
Yeah, I think we're locked in with DC for a long time, which is pretty
It's kind of
exciting.
like goes back to what Andy had with Jim Johnson.
Yeah, that's what it makes me think of.
You know, it's the same thing.
Because
I mean,
you're probably going to lose more. I don't know about this year, but maybe next. And you're probably going to lose some of the younger guys like Christian Parker.
Yeah.
But I think Vic is going to be like a foundational piece here moving forward,
oh, definitely.
which is really exciting.
I mean, 14-3.
It's easily the best season of my memory. Plus, you had a little drama mix. I love the Knicks drama, the shaved head, along with the win. It's been a great season. It's
And I
been
love
fun.
BG's Machiavellian get the team right. I still think he did it on purpose.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
I think internally there was something up with those two. They tried to address it internally, and then BG, being the genius he is, was like, "I'm going to spill the tea and make these two talk and figure it out."
yeah.
He might have saved the whole season.
Yeah.
BG's a genius.
He did. He saved the whole season.
he looked
but
good
cost
too on the
Howard his
weekend.
job.
I wasn't going to go there, but
Well,
yeah.
It's a byproduct.
I'm being nice by not saying anything.
Yeah, exactly.
So let's think about this for a second. One of the greatest seasons, regular season, that we all agree in the history of the franchise. So Baldy yesterday comes on and says they're going 4-0 and they're going to win the Super Bowl.
Sent shockwaves through the football landscape. Twitter's blowing up.
Instagram.
Packers fans were upset. It's great.
Detroit fans are up.
Yeah.
That means they're going to beat us.
I'll see you
Buffalo
in
fans are
Detroit.
upset.
Wait till you come to Ford Field and feel our wrath. Shut the hell up.
In our
Lions.
climate-controlled dome.
No, it's
We got
funny.
M&M sitting in a suite. Yeah, shut the
I
hell up.
was reading some of the comments, and the Eagle fans are hated.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, when did we become so reviled?
When we leaned into it.
Right? Like, because it wasn't always that. We were never hated the way we were. Like, during the Andy runs, we were never
No.
hated.
No.
You don't think?
A little bit. I had
Nah.
some tough experiences at the NFC Championship game in Arizona and like out at the T.O. McNabb game in Pittsburgh. I was there. Like, people like giving it to Philly fans.
I think it
Yeah,
comes.
but never like this.
it's a
Like,
little more
now-
vile now.
It's
Yeah.
now that people hate us. Now, it could be the success.
We got
Yeah,
jewelry.
it's been a continued success. And we won one. So
Yeah.
now we're not the Clevelands anymore, the
Buffaloes,
Detroits.
right.
Yeah, we won one now.
Right.
We're kind of chesty
We're at
about
the
our
table,
win.
right.
Yeah.
But it is amazing.
We got an obnoxious coach.
Because
I
they're
mean,
like anybody but the Eagles. Like, the whole league is against us.
Yeah.
And we don't care.
I kind of
Right?
love it.
yeah, today, Baldy getting shrapnel. Like, oh, this guy's a homer. He played for the Eagles. He had to come out.
Baldy's like, I respect all
Yeah,
teams.
he had to come out
I
and
just like
defend
football.
I respect all teams. And it's true.
He does.
Like, the one thing about Baldy is he's the least. Like, he looks at it down the middle. Football is a religion, and he respects it. And I'll be honest with you, I
Sure.
do too. You know how I am with it. Like, I try to I keep it as objective as possible. Yeah, do I want them to win? Of course. But when I'm analyzing stuff, I keep it objective. There's lots of teams and players I like. I mean, there's a reason why to be optimistic going into the playoffs. Now, look, obviously Jalen is concerned for Sunday. But I keep going back to the defense. Bro brought it up. This defense has been a rock to count on.
So I just asked Tyler this doing the John Mark show. Which do you feel better about? The Eagles offense versus the Packers defense, or the Eagles defense versus the Packers offense? because
Eagles defense.
I fell in with you that the
Yeah.
Eagles defense I feel better about because they're great. They're the only team in the NFL this year to hold opponents under 5,000 yards. You know, like there's a lot of things they do really, really well. So I ultimately answered, you know, I feel best about the Eagles defense.
Yeah, and if you think about it, right, it kind of plays into what Green Bay does. Like Green Bay, without Christian Watson, they're never a team that really stretches the field. So they kind of matriculate down. You got Jacobs, right? You got some good possession receivers with Reed and Dobbs. They don't usually go for home. They're not a home run strike team. And the Eagles defense is built like that, where they don't give you a lot of stuff over the top. So I see this. Like this is going to be, to me, a stone under of a game. I think it's a slog. I think it's Eagles will wind up winning, 23-14, something like along those lines.
Really?
Yeah.
I think the Birds put up at least 30. I think they cruise, man. I do. Yeah. We got A.J. Brown. We're rolling right now. I feel good. The Hurts rust.
I think that's real.
I don't think it's real. I mean,
I think it's real.
How do you not think it's real?
Because the game plan, all he does is, he's got to throw some short, quick reads. He's not going to need that. And every now and then he throws over the top.
But again, that's where it comes in, your timing.
His timing's going to be fine. He's a professional. It's Jalen Hurts we're talking about.
All right. But you still, when you don't play in 3 weeks.
It's a month of
2.5 weeks.
I mean,
basically
he looked good on those 4 plays against the Commanders.
I mean, it's a big deal. Like,
yeah, I'm with you. I asked Baldy this when I was filling in for you last week. I was like, Baldy, is this like sports talk fodder or is this legit, like the rust factor?
No.
And he said, there's a reason why in the first quarter they struggle is because maybe their timing's not great, the cadence, all that stuff.
Because
so he's like, I think it's real.
The first quarter they were on fire the last couple of games with the first quarter.
I mean, on fire.
Yeah, man. They put up some points. They scored. Come on, man.
You got some green goggles on today, brother. I mean, we're all bathed in green, but geez.
I mean, I think they win by a touchdown, but, I don't think it's going to be easy.
No. I think the same thing, like 23-14, something along those lines.
Yeah.
Where you're going to – it's good. Because, first of all, I think Green Bay will have the ball. Right.
And they're both ground and pound teams. So time of possession should be relatively even, I think.
Yeah. They're going to sell out probably against Barkley. They're going to try to stop the run.
Yeah.
And
good luck.
Well, I mean, you'd rather do that than go with a light box and let Saquon just gash you.
Yeah.
So this is where I think the Eagles need to change a little something. The Packers are primarily zone coverage team. Just rush their 4, very low blitz rate.
Single high safety.
Yeah, they kind of bait you into turnovers. They're reliant on turnovers. And that's a plus for the Eagles because Jalen doesn't turn it over.
Right.
But I think they have to attack the middle of the field and that soft belly of this. And I'm kind of feeling a Dallas Goedert over.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because I think they have.
It was a good move. I loved him playing last week.
So did I.
Yeah, I thought that was a really good move.
But the Eagles were the lowest team in the NFL, 14% across the middle of the field. I think you got to up that a little bit versus the Packers.
The other guy that I think could have a big game is Devontae. Because Devontae had 7 catches in the opener against Green Bay. He's a matchup problem for the Packers. Their secondary is an issue.
Dude.
And I think more than AJ, I think Devontae takes the center stage.
I don't know. Without Jair Alexander, I think AJ has a big game. I do. I think these wide receivers just dominate. I don't know. I think this is a cakewalk. I do, man. Oof. I don't respect this Green Bay team at all.
Oof.
No.
Oof.
I don't like.
Have you really watched?
I don't like the receivers. I think the quarterback's overrated. I like Josh Jacobs. I don't know.
Is he offending the football gods?
Yeah, I don't like
I'm not offending them. I just like, hey, they are what they are. They're a nice team.
Yeah.
You don't even say they're a nice team. You said I don't respect them.
Man, like they're not in the powerhouses.
I think LaFleur's a good coach.
Yeah, he is a good coach, but we're an elite club, man. It's the Lions and the Eagles, and that's in the NFC.
I mean, I do think there's a talent difference between the two.
Yeah, drastic. I think.
would agree with that.
Yeah,
but I don't agree with him.
You don't think there's a drastic drop off in talent?
No.
Oh,
I think there is I think the Eagles have a definitive talent advantage.
Sure.
But not. Green Bay's got a very good offensive line.
They're decent.
All right.
They're decent. We have a very good offensive line. They're not as good as us.
I will say that I don't know if the Packers have a better unit. Like if you stacked up individual units versus each other, I don't know where the Packers win.
I do have a concern. My concern is special teams.
Yeah.
That could end up in special teams player too. Because Eagles have not been good on coverage. Their kicking's a problem. Special teams is an issue. Other than that, nah. They're a cute wild card team. We're a division winner.
Respect them.
Yeah, I mean, he's talking.
Violations. Greg does not speak for the entirety of the Anthony Gargano Show.
Thank you, bro. Thank you, bro. He's starting to worry me. Listen, Baldy says 4-0, and I agree. Like, I could see it.
Confident 4-0.
Right? And I could see it, but he doesn't do it in an offensive manner like our boy. Like our boy, who's the king of violations. Hence his nickname.
Dude, I usually have anxiety and worry. This one, I'm telling you, I don't feel this one. I think this is easy.
I like it better when you have anxiety. Because here's the thing. When you have anxiety, they win. Like you've had anxiety for most of the season.
Maybe.
All right?
I have anxiety most of my life.
And
that's the reality.
And they've had their best season ever.
Yes.
All right? Or at least one of their best seasons ever.
So now I feel good. They've proven it. I feel great. I'm going down. I just got tickets today. I'm going down.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Nice.
I'm undefeated. You know me, and you were undefeated in the playoffs down there.
If there's an NFC Championship game at the link, PHLY's got to put us up because we're good luck.
Yeah. You are.
Yeah.
You are. I second that.
Yeah.
Because
we're in the opening.
You're in the opening of the show.
That's the NFC Championship game.
The two of you guys, both of you guys.
I jumped in cheese fries on the Patrick Robinson pick 6. I jumped right into my crab fries. I still have the cheese stain on my boot, and I didn't clean it because I was like, that stain makes me happy.
I love that.
Yeah, I eat beef. We were hammered. Yeah. I was so hungry. The only thing I could get was a beef cheesesteak. I was like, no.
My God. You ate beef?
Yeah, it was a great night, great day and night.
Yeah, we walked from the stadium down to.
Yeah, we did walk all the way home from the stadium.
To Passyunk, to Washington Ave. We just walked. Yeah, and like we're high-fiving and partying. That was like one of the best nights ever.
We saw those old people with the F. Millie sign.
Yeah, screw Millie.
How great was that?
And the skull. It was awesome.
Well, I'll never forget. This Saturday, I was of the NFC Championship game. I was at Stogie Joe's.
Oh, great.
I
love Stogies.
And there was a group of Vikings fans.
Yeah, they were chesty coming in.
Yeah, and they were walking down the street. There's probably like 8 of them. And they all had their purple on and their weird medallions or whatever they had was going on.
Their Viking hats with the braids and all that.
It was horrible, right?
Stuff.
And they were like, they were chesty. And I'm like, yo, guys, listen. You don't know where you're at. All right. If I were you guys, I'd tone it down a little bit.
And it was like 2 hours later, they're on Twitter being, look at how mean Eagles fans are to us.
I know, they're so bad. Meanwhile, you stuck purple panties on Rocky statue. If you're gonna stick purple panties, you gotta reap what you sow.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the law.
Poke the bear.
Exactly. Yeah, you don't do that.
Not to Rocky.
But
not to our Rocky.
All right, we got lots to get to. Z Berman is going to join us. All right,
the hardest working man in journalism.
Yeah. He's everywhere. He's asking all the questions. I see him. He's handing out the award to Jordan Mailata as the
good
media's
guy
favorite
The
player.
media, yeah, he's the best.
Zach Berman's everywhere.
I'm a little upset he returned the penis trophy though. Did you hear the story about this?
Yeah. Explain it for the audience.
Yeah, so the journalists decided they voted on the Good Guy Award this year, which went to Jordan Mailata, and Zach was in charge of getting a plaque or a trophy. And apparently the first trophy he bought was very phallic shaped.
Yeah.
And he didn't feel comfortable giving it. I think Jordan would have been the perfect recipient of it. So Zach returned it. I thought it belonged here in the studio.
Yeah, he should.
Did he pick it out?
It was apparently a microphone.
Yeah.
That ended up
like
looking, like a schwanz.
Yeah.
So
it's
he
the
returned
Johnson
it.
trophy.
Yeah.
Not Lane Johnson, but it's a Johnson trophy.
Right. It's a shame because I think Jordan would have loved it.
Wait, Zach, it goes back. I'd like to return this. This looks too much like junk. Like
reason for returning.
Yeah, Johnson.
Resembles a Johnson.
Not good. We got the brain. And then, of course, Kevin Negandhi is going to join us.
Oh, boy.
And, bro, I don't know about you, but I cannot wait for tomorrow night.
Dude, 5 days of playoff football.
Dude.
This is heaven.
It is heaven.
Yeah.
It is heaven.
Thursday night kind of sucks a little bit, but it's fine.
Why?
It's just a school night, you know? Like,
yeah.
Whatever.
Notre Dame, Penn State.
I know. I like Penn State.
Ohio State. Yeah, I do too.
I think Ohio State's winning it all.
You like Ohio State? I think
take it all,
Texas is going to make them sweat.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Does Arch get in?
I don't know how he's not in.
What are they doing?
Ewers got an oblique issue, which has really caused the ball to sail on him. And there's been issues. We'll talk to Kevin about that. Penn State, Notre Dame, I can't wait.
It's going to be two of the great college uniforms of all time.
All time. It's college
No
football.
names.
Yes.
Plain helmets.
It's the best.
It's
Golden Domers.
Yeah.
Against the Knicks.
It's so confusing with the no names. I have no idea who anybody is on the field at any point.
That's because you don't pay attention.
I mean, help us out, man.
You got to pay attention.
You know, I'm trying to chill, relax. I got to focus. I got to look.
Last name Warren.
Warren, I know. Ty Warren. Everybody's
go.
hoping he's here next
He's
year.
not. He's going like 14 to 18.
He's just, look what happened with Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
With the Raiders.
Rookie record.
I mean, he was amazing. Warren's going to be that way, too.
I can't believe I'm cheering for Penn State this week. I can't believe it.
All right. Well, we got lots to get to. All right. Let's talk about TrueMark. Our good friends at TrueMark Financial.
We love our folks at TrueMark. They're all greened up, ready for the birds. And, don't be like me. Don't have your kids get through school, get out in the real world, and know nothing about financial responsibility and end up with credit cards out there, rear end, and all kinds of chaos. So if you've got kids, TrueMark's got the ultimate playbook for teaching financial responsibility with this cool, free Greenlight account. It comes with the Greenlight app, and it's changing the game, helping kids and teens learn how to earn, save, and spend wisely. They get to set up savings goals, track their spending, and even get allowance all right there within the app. This is the totally cool part. Each kid gets their own debit card so they can make their own purchases and learn real-world money skills, feel like a mini adult, and you don't have to worry because you stay in control of everything right from your phone. You get peace of mind. They get the freedom to make smart decisions with their money. It's like coaching your kids through their very own financial game. And for TrueMark Financial members, this cool program is totally free. Now is the perfect time to introduce your kids to the Greenlight app. Get signed up to .com/Greenlight for more information.
All right, I like it. Let's talk about Golden Nugget Jewelers. It's where Philly gets engaged. Look, you know what's happening, right? It's Valentine's Day. It's already turning red and hearts everywhere, the whole thing. Make sure you come clean, come correct. You got to come correct. All right?
Come clean.
Come correct, and come clean. All right? Make sure you got a wonderful present. It could be diamond earrings. It could be bracelets. It could be the big one, the engagement ring. Go see my man, Yaron, 8th and Chestnut, Golden Nugget Jewelers. He'll give you a whole education on buying the diamond ring, all right? From the setting to picking out the diamond, putting it all together, working within your budget to make you not stress, to get a ring that will truly make her melt. That's the plan for Valentine's Day. 8th and Chestnut in the heart of Jewelers Row, Center City, Philadelphia. Golden Nugget Jewelers. You can go to goldennuggetjewelers.com. Golden Nugget Jewelers, where Philly gets engaged. All right, joining us, what a job he does for all PHLY birds. You got to read him. You got to be a diehard. All right, you got to buy his book. He's killing it, as always. Our main man, Zach Berman. Good morning, Z-Berm. Zachariah.
Hey, playoff time. Good morning. Good talking to you guys.
It is. Dude, you are an Eagles historian by your book. Where does this regular season rank? We were just talking about it. 14-3 could easily be 15-1. The early season drama coming off of last year and the slide. This season has been an incredible one.
You're absolutely right. And then the other thing you need to consider is the quality of teams that they've beaten along the way. And I think that's what separates this year from that 2022 season, which was the 2022 season. They didn't play as many quality teams. Now, that team was outstanding, obviously, made the Super Bowl. The 2017 season was obviously incredible. I still think if in my frame of reference, I'll view it the last 25 years, right?
04?
I was going to say the 2004 season, I still think is the best season. Now 02 is up there as well. The 02 team was outstanding. That was the team that lost to Tampa Bay in the NFC Championship. But I think 04, the run they were on before T.O. got injured in Dallas or against Dallas, was probably the best season. That said, this one is up there, especially when you consider the fact that the Eagles finished with the number one defense in the NFL by most metrics. And interestingly, even though they're number two in scoring defense, if you look at points allowed by the defense, so you take away special teams and points that the defense didn't allow, the Eagles would be number one in scoring defense. That would be the first time since '91. That great '91 defense with Buddy Ryan. The one thing this team doesn't have is the prolific passing numbers that you see some of those other teams have. Partly that's because of the way they played. I certainly think they have the talent to do so. The bottom line is this is one of the great regular seasons in Eagles history.
Yeah, I mean, even in 04, interesting, the landscape was different in 04, where the powerhouses of the league were in the AFC, right? It was Patriots, it was the Colts, it was the Steelers, whereas it was the Eagles and Packers, and the Eagles had a showdown with Green Bay in 2004 during that regular season, and they demolished them. They crushed them in that game. They were clearly the best team in the NFC. This year, I think it's a little bit more wide open, certainly. But, I mean, I look back, and it's almost laughable that the consternation that we had over the first four games.
You're absolutely right. And look, I think a lot of that was residual or the residue from last year, kind of the hangover from last year. There was a degree of skepticism going into the year, obviously, about Sirianni, about the way the season ended. So when you finish when you open the season 2-2, obviously the way they lost to Atlanta reignited some of these Sirianni questions that some fans had. And then the Tampa Bay loss was, I think, brought up memories of the way last season ended in the playoffs. Since the bye, it's been outstanding. And when you look at historic in so many ways, obviously the ways, a Saquon Barkley season, I mean, take away Eagles history, it's historic in NFL history. But just across the board, when you look at, the AP All-Pro team hasn't come out yet, but when it does, I think you're going to see some Eagles on both sides of the ball on that list. When you see, obviously, like I said, the number one defense, historic rushing numbers, this is, a lot of it was overstated during the bye week, but I think it was the carryover or the spillover from what happened a year ago.
Hey, Zach, and Zach, by the way, is going to be joining me on the Eagles show today at 2:30, fresh off the practice field for all your Jalen Hurts updates. You got something on that, Zach?
Yeah, quick update on that. Actually, this just came out about 10 minutes ago. The Eagles altered their practice schedule today, so they're going to practice in the stadium, something that they don't typically do. They've done it in the Sirianni era, sometimes on Fridays before home games. I don't recall them ever practicing in the stadium on a Wednesday. Sirianni's taking them there to practice, and he moved practice to 3:35. So you and I will coordinate after the best time to come on the show at 2. But I think this is noteworthy. I speak to Sirianni at noon today. I'll find out why they're moving to the stadium. But that's different, and whether it's to kind of get. I think when Nick's done it in the past, he's done it before home games on Fridays in the past, and his rationale for that has been to get them ready for the game in the stadium, like whether it's like an old college thing or whatnot, but like the feel like you're in the stadium, to get used to the turf, to get used to everything about the stadium. And they did, even last year, they did a scrimmage, like training camp practice in the stadium for that reason. One of the things they wanted to work on in that practice last year was they actually had the coordinators in the booth, calling it down. And so I think, my guess is Sirianni wants to mimic game-like conditions as much as he can.
Gotcha. I love it because you mimic the same time. It's going to be about the same temperature, wind, everything. It's good.
That's a good point, VG. I didn't think about the time component of it. Yeah, I didn't think about the time component. That makes a lot of sense because I don't recall them ever practicing at 3:35. So they probably are trying to get as close to when the ramp up period would be for a game.
So Zach, I just asked Anthony this. The Packers and Eagles are similarly constructed teams. It's going to be a little bit of a ground and pound attack from each offense. They play a little more zone. They rely on the turnovers. Which aspect do you feel better about? The Eagles offense versus the Packers defense, or the Eagles defense versus the Packers offense?
Good question. I think the Eagles offense versus the Packers defense, because I think the Packers are susceptible in the back end on defense. I think they're missing more players there. I think the Eagles can beat you different ways, and I think offense tends to dictate terms. And with the way Jordan Love can play, obviously they have two backs. Obviously, I know Josh Jacobs is outstanding and gets a lot of the attention. Wilson has been a real productive back for them as well. If you just watch the Chicago film, I know they lost that game, but he stood out there. He had two big runs against the Eagles back in week one. I know they don't have Christian Watson, but like they have, 3, 4, 5 pass catchers who you have to pay attention to. So I think that the matchup I like better for the Eagles is the Eagles offense against that Packers defense.
My man.
Wow.
He's genius. I love Zach.
Yeah, it's interesting. I went the other way. Bro and I went the Eagles defense. I'm still concerned about how prolific I'm with you that their back end is vulnerable, but I just don't know what Jalen's going to look like. And coming off concussion, few weeks, if he's not on the money, would that surprise you?
It wouldn't surprise me because there's been inconsistencies this year, and you're absolutely right. He's coming off 3 weeks absence, so it's something. They can say they're not worried about rest. We have to see it come to fruition. The reason I answer the way I did is just the respect I have for Jordan Love, and I think Jordan Love can really hurt you. Fran Duffy brought up a good point on our show yesterday, where he was talking about the film from that first game, and he said Love couldn't plant his back foot on that turf in Brazil, and if every time he would plant the back foot, it was sliding. It was like. It was like an ice skating rink there. And, when he plants his back foot, he can be dangerous. And what we've seen him do it. So I think what Jordan Love is capable of doing is why I'm more confident in the Eagles offense. But you are right. Jalen and the passing game hasn't been consistent enough. And now Jalen's coming off a 3-week layoff.
Well, here's the thing. I'm with you. I like Love. I do. I respect Love. My only issue, and the other reason why I like the Eagles defense, is I think they match up with that Packer offense, especially without Watson. Because what Watson does is that he stretches the field. Even if it's you take 3 deep shots and you don't even complete any of them, you just had that threat. And now, Bo Melton, local kid, he's a great kid, and the whole thing, but they don't have that same explosive. They're going to have to matriculate down the field. Now, you got Jacobs and you got some good possession receivers, and LaFleur is a terrific architect, and they'll do a lot of misdirection, and they'll have that jet to read. He'll do that, but I still don't know that that they're going to have big strike capability against the Eagles, especially when
that's a fair point.
Yeah,
and Fangio's defenses historically have done well against this tree. And what I mean by that is the only other team that the Eagles have seen that's top 5 in motion rate this year is the Rams. And you saw the way the Eagles defense played in that game. Packers, Rams are really they're the 2 teams the Eagles have seen this year from that coaching tree. And so I think that a lot of what makes that offense work, in addition to the good players, is, like you mentioned, the misdirection, the motion that they use, the variations in kind of taking the same look and mixing it up. And Fangio's historically done well against those schemes.
Yeah, I guess that's the only thing when I look at it. And now VG's giving me the Eagles in a blowout.
Like 31-13.
But yeah, I don't.
Yeah, that would surprise me.
I would. Yeah, I think 30s. I don't see them getting to 30. I don't see anybody getting to 30. I think it's a low scoring.
Bet a primo on it.
All right. Yeah.
I'll take a Turkey Diablo as a witness.
Yeah, you got it. Yeah. That's a deal. That's a deal.
But like Zach's saying, man, their secondary is weak, and I don't have the rust. The rust will be done by the second quarter. Yeah, but he's going to be up trying to stop the run. By the second quarter, the rust will be off.
Your thoughts, Zach?
Yeah, what's interesting here is on the first 2 days of the show, Monday and Tuesday, I was talking up the Packers, and I'm getting messages from fans saying I'm giving the Packers too much respect. Maybe that's the case. Maybe I'm inflating the Packers. I don't think that's the case. I think the Packers are a legit Super Bowl, a legit Super Bowl contender. I said this on the show Monday. 5 of the Packers' 6 losses this season are against 14-win teams. I know they don't have that signature win, but that's a talented, well-coached team that's good on both sides of the ball. It would surprise if the Eagles win this game by 20 points or thereabouts. You said what, 31-13, so 18 points. If they do that, I think that's a statement that the Eagles are what Baldy said they were yesterday, which is like a Super Bowl favorite. Because if you beat the Packers 31-13, then I'm saying, wow, like you can beat anybody by a decent margin. Because I view the Packers, I don't view the Packers like I do, the Eagles, Lions, Ravens, Bills, Chiefs. Those are my top 5, not in that order, but those are my top 5. But I think the Packers are in like that next tier that I think is capable of winning the Super Bowl. I know there are fans who are like miffed that the Eagles Super Bowl odds are lower than like the Ravens. The way I see it is that has less to do with what Vegas or the odds makers think about the Eagles and more about the strength of the NFC, that the Eagles' path to the playoffs, or I'm sorry, to the Super Bowl includes the Packers as opposed to the Steelers, which the Ravens have in the first round.
I tend to agree with you, Zach, when it comes to Green Bay. Look, that's still a team that went into Dallas last year, and rolled them, and they almost beat San Francisco. Like they went in that, and San Francisco was healthy there with a good defense, and they went in there and they moved the ball up and down the field. So I'm with you. I think the Eagles win, but I think it's a closer, more low-scoring game.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Now, when these two teams played week 1, it was obviously a high-scoring game, and both teams can score points. But, yeah, I do look at that postseason last year, and that's so fresh in my mind, what Jordan Love did to Dallas, the way they played against San Francisco, the way they were able to run the ball. I think this game's probably played more in the 20s than the 30s.
So, Zach, have you I know Jordan Love was great last year in the playoffs. Have you seen that same Jordan Love in what you've seen of the Packers this year?
Not as consistent. Look, the high watermark was the playoffs last year. I think he's played better than the reputation. I think going into the year, he signs that contract, highest paid player in the league, coming off that postseason last year. I think there were expectations that he'd be, that he would take that leap into the top 5. And that hasn't been the case. Like he hasn't hit that high watermark last year. I still think he's been, as Fran said yesterday, a top 8 quarterback in the league. I would have to go through the numbers. I think top 10 to 12. Yeah, and I think he can still make plays on a consistent. Like if you're ranking the quarterbacks in the postseason, Love's one of the guys you don't want to see because he's capable of winning a game for his team. Like he's one of those guys who the team can win because of him and not just with him.
He's hard to get to the ground too.
Yeah, here's a word for you. Overrated. Overrated.
He's checking it, Zach. I think you're right. I think he's a very good quarterback.
Top 8 surprises me from Fran.
Y'all living in the past. Y'all living in last year. That's the past, man. This is this year.
How much have you watched Green Bay?
Every time they're on Red Zone. And I saw them this weekend struggle against the Bears.
They did struggle against the Bears. That's true. Now the thing is, Jordan Love was out for most of that game, right? He had the injured funny bone. Yeah.
Bears put up, 22 points? It might be 44 with the Birds. Come on, that offense? The Bears?
I can't argue about that Bears offense. Yeah, the Bears offense is ugly.
I'm getting, the more he speaks, the more nervous I'm getting. All right.
Yeah, it might be my personality. I tend to be, I tend to be a little more cautious.
You're a football guy. You respect the game.
Yeah. I don't want to say I'm worried about this matchup, but I don't think this is I don't think this is a cakewalk. Look, in the past few years when the Eagles have had home playoff games, I think this is the Eagles' toughest home playoff game that they've had.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you had the Giants that were horrible. Yeah. Daniel Jones.
Yeah.
I mean, even Minnesota with Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Like, look at these teams.
Yeah.
Like,
That Falcons team was decent
Purdy
that
got
came
hurt
in.
early.
Case
Yeah.
Keenum was having a good year that year. Probably as good as Jordan Love this year.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Come
good year
on,
that year.
stop. Case Keenum is stinks. You're going to bring him up and say as Love? That's disrespectful.
Yeah, probably.
I
I
take
did.
that back. That was disrespectful. I take that back.
I got to go back probably to the Falcons 2017. That was a tough Falcons team, I thought. The Eagles win that game 15-12, I believe. Julio almost catches the touchdown on the left sideline late in the game to win. But yeah, probably this is the best, since that Falcons team.
I mean, their signature win this year, their big win, the Packers, if I'm not right, is the Texans. That's their best win this year.
Texans stink.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't have a good win on their record this year.
Yeah, but you know what? Up until week 18, when they didn't have their quarterback, they didn't have a bad loss either, right? Their only losses, their only losses were to 14-win teams. And look, the Bears game was bad. Now they had Malik Willis in for a good chunk of that game, but before going into that game, this was a team that was top 5 in DVOA on both sides of the ball, and their only losses came against, like I said, Minnesota, Detroit, and Philadelphia.
And I can also make the case that aside from 2 drops of Saquon and Devontae, the Birds are 16-1. I mean, the Birds are legit this year.
Well, I can look. Agrees with you there. He knows they're legit.
Yeah, I mean,
I think they're legit. But the thing is, if Xavier Legette catches that pass in Carolina when Bryce Young throws it up to him, if Nakobe Dean doesn't have that interception against Jacksonville, the Eagles are, you can always do that, right? It's what Parcells says. You are what your record says you are. And the Eagles, their 14 wins, they earned it. But this is not going to be an easy game this weekend.
I like it. Zach, great stuff as always, buddy. You're killing it. Just keep it up, man. You're
Appreciate
a must-read, must-watch.
And he's a real sicko. They're doing a special
Wednesday night.
Wednesday night. Yeah, tonight with Les Bowen and Bo at 8 o'clock.
That's awesome.
Yeah, a lot of love in the chat about your jackets, too.
It is a sharp
They want to know who
jacket.
your jacket source is. They
Is that
love
a
the
barber?
jackets you bust out.
No, my wife's amazing, and I hope I'm still married to her at the end of the playoffs because she doesn't see me this time of year. But anything in my closet is from her, honestly.
Good man, brother. Thank you, Zachariah.
Appreciate it, guys.
Z-Bird.
I believe that's a barber. You know the barber? The wax, the old
Yes.
hunting coats.
Yeah.
Quality coats.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Chat's
I respect
right.
a good jacket.
Chat knows.
Jordan Love
Chat's
doesn't.
on point.
The chat's also saying Jordan Love doesn't protect the ball. He's got 11 interceptions.
He does throw off his back foot a lot.
He does.
You know what I felt today? Sometimes a gut play just washes over you a little bit.
Yeah.
I think Quinyon gets his first pick in this game.
Really?
It just hit me today. I have nothing to back it up other than the universe telling me.
Can I bet on that on Bet Parks?
That's what I was thinking.
Well, speaking of Bet Parks,
Long odds there.
ambassador of the Bet Parks Sportsbook online casino app joins us right now. He, of course, the brain.
Brain. The brain finder.
Top of the
Good
morning
morning.
to you, brain.
How are you this morning, man?
Good to see you, buddy. Good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Let's get to. Are you back from the Bahamas?
Back. Looking forward to our show tonight. Everyone, me and Anthony, 6 p.m., correct, my friend?
That's right on, brother. Me, you, and
Yeah.
Frazier. We'll get into
a
all
deep
the
dive.
games. We're live from the Parks
College.
Casino, as always. Brain, let's start off again. It's all Eagles all the time with the playoffs, and as each day goes, there's more and more info. There's more and more things. Are you still squarely on the Eagles here?
Well, again, I have not pulled the trigger on any of the bets. Right now on the Bet Parks, the line is 4.5. It was as high as 5.5. Now, I think, Anthony, part of that may be, I'm sure, you know about Adam Schefter's tweet where he tweeted out that Jalen still has not, completed his concussion protocol. They're optimistic. But I guess until it's fully said he's cleared, and I think there's that little bit of, okay, we have to teeter this both ways in case, there's some announcement unexpected that Jalen's potentially not playing. In my opinion, that's why I think with this, we've seen this line move down a full point.
Yeah, and for everything I hear, I mean, first of all, they waived Ian Book who's their emergency third quarterback from everything I hear.
That was nice. So we can get down to Miami for the PSU.
That's right.
And we're just doing them a favor.
Yeah. By the way, that really would be an emergency.
Yes.
That's like, that would be one of those emergencies where, it's Ian Buck. But look, it's funny. Again, Anthony, for me, the way I think about this game, and we talked about it a little bit yesterday, is look, when you bet these games on parks, you can bet the side, absolutely. You can bet the money line, absolutely. You can bet anything you want, props. But for me, again, I'm looking more at total because, again, I love the Eagles defense. And I had told you, I think Green Bay, and I know, I think just had Zach on before. Is that who you were talking about the first and second ago? Yeah, he was talking about how they only lost to 14 win teams before last week. Well, that may be the case, but I just still think Green Bay, I think part of it stems from last year's game against Dallas where they put up that, 54 or whatever it was. I think they're maybe getting a little bit too much respect. I think Love has, in my opinion, I don't know if you agree with this, Andy. You may think it's too strong of a statement, but last 2 years ago or three, I guess three, whatever, the Eagles won the Super Bowl, and then last year, Jalen clearly regressed. I felt like Love, well, maybe not as stark as that. Those last 8 games he had 2 years ago when they lost eventually to San Francisco in that heartbreaking loss, I thought he was arguably a top 3 quarterback those 8 games. This year, I think he's been very okay, not bad, maybe above average, but nothing spectacular. I think Green Bay is getting a little bit too much respect. That's just in terms of the offensive side of the ball. That's just my opinion. Just have how this team's played all year. I don't think this can be a game where we see Green Bay with Love just put up like 30 on the Eagles team. I'll be really shocked. I'll use the word shocked.
Well, I agree with you there. I mean, VG is with you on the overt love of Love, but I honestly think both. I don't think either team scores 30 in this game. I think it's
I think this is going to be an opposite of the first game.
Yeah, I could totally see it because both teams are going to run the ball. I don't know how prolific either passing game will be. I think it's going to be a lot of grinding out on both sides.
Yeah, and I'm looking here, Anthony. It's funny. It was 46 when we talked about it. Now on Parks, it's down to 45. So obviously, the market is agreeing with what we talked about yesterday in terms of this under, and it's certainly moving that way and trending that way to going, more under bets. And so I'm even go to again. I'm even looking on my screen here, Anthony, and there's 44.5s out there as well. So this is a game where it's definitely trending towards the under. But for me, I like the Green Bay under more than I like the game under because I still think the Eagles with Saquon. You're going to laugh at me. Hand on the Bible, if Tanner McKee played, I think the Eagles will be fine and win this game. Now I don't know if they play him. I don't know if they just bypass him.
No, they would probably play Pickett as much as everybody else would freak out.
No, Kenny, your ribs hurting, man. Take another week to get right.
I know we would all freak out if that was, God forbid, something happened with Jalen. McKee's got to be the guy who plays.
Yeah, I just think, again, assuming Hurts plays, I'm not predicting it, guys. If you told me the Eagles are to win 31-14 if Hurts played, I wouldn't be like, oh my God, this crazy thing I've ever seen. Because I think the Eagles' talent around the quarterback is so spectacular. So spectacular. The only team I think that matches up to their personnel, you take away every team's quarterback. I think Detroit and Philadelphia are on an island, and everyone else is not on that island. And that's why, again, I think Detroit's better than Philadelphia is because Anthony, I talked about it like 10 weeks ago. The biggest difference between the Eagles and the Lions, well, defense for the Eagles are the edge, but offensively, Jared Goff is 1,000 times more trustworthy than Jalen Hurts. That's just the way it is. And anyone wants to argue it, go ahead. But it's just, at this point, I think more of a fact than an opinion. And that to me is what, the difference is. But these skill players they have, they still can put a lot of points on anyone. They have so many great players.
I do have a total I like. You're going to not like it. All right.
You don't know that.
We
even talked about it.
It's tomorrow night.
Okay.
It's Notre Dame, Penn State.
Well, I bet the under.
Yeah, it's the over. And no, I knew you wouldn't like it. And
I bet under 46. It's now 45. Yeah. I like the under.
Yeah, and I hear you, and I know why. I mean, I intellectually I understand. And I was looking at the game. I was kind of going back and forth. And you would think it would be under. But the only problem is with both these teams is they both played toward the under over this how they are. And when two under teams play on a field where weather's not a problem, like if it was cold and you're playing at Notre Dame Stadium or you're playing at Penn State and, the passing game,
Sure.
I could see plays being made in the pass game for both teams. And that's why I think it could push the total. I could see bigger plays for both teams because I think you could actually look. I know Riley Leonard looked terrible throwing the football, but I actually think against Penn State secondary, he could make a couple plays down the field.
Anthony, one thing I will say when I bet this game, and I said to myself, sometimes you can't you beat yourself. I'm like, I'm betting this under, and I did bet this other under too, but I bet this one for a little bit. I think I actually have it for a little. I have to check my sheet, but I think I may even have at least for as much, maybe even more. And I actually like last week's under more, the Georgia game, because Georgia Notre Dame to me, I like Georgia's defense better than Penn State.
Yeah.
And I like Penn State's offense better than I like Georgia's offense. And I'm thinking to myself, last week, I had a better matchup in my opinion for sure. And why didn't I take the rubber band off that a lot more than I did?
Yeah.
While I'm betting this one, I'm like, because Penn State to me, again, Aller is a guy that certainly has it in with his legs, and Penn State has the two good running backs, the great tight end. They certainly have it in them to put up 27 points, no question. They have that kind of offense. They can do that, and their defense to me, again, I've seen it many games where they haven't looked that great. So
and
I hear you.
Player is dinged.
Yes, and he left. How early leaving that game? That was he left pretty early, right?
Yeah.
No, Abdul.
Yeah, I mean,
it was fairly
so yeah, I mean, so listen, I still like the under. I just think this isn't a game this week. The winning team's going to be more closer to like 23-ish. But I do see what you're saying, Anthony. I do, and I will agree again, especially when I compare it to last week's game.
Yes.
I really
I think you and I both like the under Penn State Georgia that we thought would be a lower scoring game.
Right, and Georgia to me again with the new quarterback again, theoretically they're going to want to play more conservatively, and I actually did trust their defense more than I did trust Penn State. It's a fair Anthony. I could definitely see it.
Remember the
I
drops?
definitely can see it.
Georgia's terrible with drops.
Right. Remember that there were three big drops.
They led the country. I think 37 on the year.
And Bell had two of them, and he really wasn't an issue. But they had three big drops. Now, is that going to happen with Notre Dame?
Georgia should have won the game. Brad and I talked about it last week. They had every opportunity
Georgia
to steal that game.
was the better team. But again, you can't look. 98% of the people watching the game just the score is that's the Bible, and that's fine. As a fan, totally get that. That's totally makes sense. But when you're betting these things, I hate to say the scores are relevant, Anthony, but I swear the scores are relevant. It's the opposite of the Bill Parcells thing. It's not what your record is.
It's what goal line, all that.
Exactly.
Stuff.
It's what your record should.
The penalty
it's what your record
off the
should
kid
be
on the sidelines. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, by the way, what did you think of that, man? That was rough for that kid. That defensive back that could walk on.
Showing.
That's what I'm saying.
Talking about him. Yeah, I felt hard.
He's not getting any action at the fraternities.
No.
They were acting. Look, I felt bad. It was like a Steve Bartman thing. But I mean, the Steve Bartman thing was for everyone. I mean, that was Anthony. That was the all-timer. The Steve Bartman thing from 20. I mean, there'll never be something like that again. But with this kid, I just felt bad for him because I'm not trying to say he doesn't look like he's going to play necessarily ever. Not trying to overspeak just didn't, but and he's just there cheering his team on. Obviously, got a step too far or whatever, and then everyone's making him seem like he's the reason they lost the game, which to me is completely unfair. Mistake, yes. Reason the game lost the game, absolutely not.
Agreed.
Brad, it's Wednesday. To take it back to Eagles Packers, is there any player props that you're starting to think about for this weekend?
Yeah, I bet Josh Jacobs under 75.5. That's one thing I've done. I'm going to do a deeper dive a little bit later when the limit. See, I don't think that 75.5 is going to hold. I'm going to do a deeper dive when the limits go up because these limits on the props are earlier in the week a lot less than when they come Friday and Saturday. Closer to game day, they limit you on how much you can do on them. But again, for me, it's probably going to be definitely some unders on the Green Bay side. I think Philadelphia's defense is going to play well. Just everyone watching the game, though, if you want to do a first quarter bet and a third quarter bet, Eagles always defer. Green Bay usually takes the ball when they win the coin toss. So don't leave my Michigan education to tell me if Eagles win the toss, Green Bay's getting the ball. If Green Bay wins the toss, Green Bay's still probably getting the ball. So Green Bay, pick them in the first quarter, probably a decent bet. And Philadelphia, I would even like more in the third quarter at a pick, because I think Philadelphia is the better offense and I trust them more. But getting the ball when there's only 15 minutes to go is legitimately worth about 50 cents in terms of a math perspective. So I do expect the Eagles to defer, and I expect Green Bay to get the ball if they even win the based on what they've done this year. And that's all you can go by. I think that's probably a decent bet for people watching.
Yeah, I would take the Eagles in the second half too. They're always second
They're
half
always
team.
second half.
They're a good
And
third
with
quarter
Barkley,
team.
you know, I
Third
agree
quarter,
with
though,
that.
specifically, Anthony, third
Yeah.
quarter should be a great bet because they should get the ball first with limited possessions in a quarter, guys. Limited possessions. You're probably going to be +1 in possessions. That's a legitimate edge. And again, I fully expect Eagles to get the ball to start the third quarter.
Green Bay is plus 180 in the first quarter.
Ooh.
+180?
Yep.
I like that. I like that. Or I like
Actually
them
not a
getting
bad
plus a
bet.
half. But and again, I could separate the fact that I don't like Green Bay in the game. I can separate my bias for I think Green Bay is going to struggle for the fact that if they get the ball first, that's a massive advantage. Now, if I'm just dead wrong on this and Green Bay goes against what they've done all year, then okay, I'll just have to choke on that.
You know what, Brad? That's in the three-way bet. In the money line, they're plus 110.
Makes sense.
+110?
Yeah, in the money line.
Yeah, see,
180 is
okay,
a
that's
three-way.
already you know what? It's already been baked into the line then. It's what do they have a third quarter line, PJ?
Yeah.
Or not up yet?
Third quarter money
Because-
line. Packers plus 132. Eagles minus 165.
Lay it. Birds minus 165 in the third quarter. Love it. Brain, we love you, buddy. Anything tonight?
Yeah, I mean, listen, been a good run here recently in the NBA. Michael Porter over 5.5 rebounds, 22 and 13 of that over this year, 54 and 27 last year. Jokic may not play, overs to play. This one, it's one of the rare times I give out in your show and actually did lose, but I'm going to go back to it again. Damian Lillard is 22 and 6 to over 3.5 rebounds, was 50 and 23 last year. And then I'll give you a local one. Tyrese Maxey, 4.5 rebounds. What do you think he is in 28 games to 4.5 rebounds, guys? Take a guess. How many times has he gone over 4.5 rebounds in his 28 games?
I'll say 21 times.
That was 22 was my gut. 4?
He's 24 and 4 to the under. He averages 3 rebounds a game.
Wow.
Wow, I missed that.
24
I
and 4 to
misread
the
that
under.
I will say this, though.
Yeah.
The fact that he dominates the basketball, his assist numbers are there.
8.5 tonight. 8.5, highest he's in his career.
Yeah.
8.5. Massive number.
Well, Joe,
Massive.
Joe
I can't,
Joe
Anthony,
Bat-
I can't
Yeah,
I
that's a
can't
lot
get
number.
on board with the Sixers. I just
Yeah,
can't do
I
it.
hear you.
I've thrown in the, you know, when Burgess Meredith threw in the towel in the
Yeah.
Rocky fight.
Yeah.
I just can't. I can't do it. I'm
hear
not
you.
getting sucked in. I'm out. I
hear
hate
you.
to say it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Brain. Have a
I'll
great
see you tonight.
day.
Be good luck. Be
Brain,
good,
we'll
guys.
see you tonight.
See you, Brad.
There he is, the Brain coming up. I can't wait to talk to my main man, Kevin Negandhi. He did an amazing job hosting the Rose Bowl parade.
I saw it.
He's the greatest.
He
I'm
always
so
looks.
proud of
He
him.
looks fantastic.
He's the
too.
best. He really is. All right, let's tell you about a couple things. Let's talk about Glad.
Glad. Our friends over at Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical. If you're thinning out, you got that little bald patch, don't wait too long and end up like me, bald. Check out our friends over at Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical, established by the late Dr. Paul Glatt, now under the direction of the renowned plastic surgeon, Dr. Ken Morgenstern. Doctors Glatt and Morgenstern shared a remarkable bond, spent many years as colleagues and friends. They collaborated on critical research. They worked in the operating room together. And, you know, what makes this Glad Hair Restoration by Morgenstern Medical better? Well, you get the same peerless approach to care, same expert team, and the same unmatched Glatt system. Each member of this exceptionally trained team, they bring over 30 years of experience, and all they do is hair restorations. They don't mess around with Botox or getting wrinkles out of people's faces. All they do is hair. Glad Hair can help you during all stages of hair loss with leading-edge treatments for prevention and restoration, including laser light therapy and non-invasive TED treatments. Each patient receives a complimentary one-on-one consultation to pinpoint your best course of treatment. And they have a caring patient advocate, which works with you from the first phone call to your last follow-up visit. They understand how emotionally challenging this can be, and they're here to make it as simple as stress-free as possible. Glad Hair isn't just about restoration. No. They are totally about innovation. Their breakthrough treatments dramatically change lives. Change your hair, change your life. Bald is now optional. If you want to improve how you look and how you feel about yourself, Glad Hair has the right treatment for you. Regain your confidence. Visit gladhairmctr.com or call 610-980-4000 to get started.
I like it. Let's talk about the BetPark Sportsbook online casino app. You heard the brain, all the games. All right, Birds will give you ways to play. You could bet first quarter, third quarter, second half, all that stuff on the BetPark Sportsbook Casino app. This begins. Tomorrow it is. It's the stretch of heaven. We go to football heaven, right? Thursday, Friday, college playoffs, NFL first round, the best round when it comes to having all the games. It's my favorite round.
Yeah.
I mean, you get all those games.
Get the Fugazi teams out of here.
Right. You get the
lost Steelers.
Right.
Get lost Texans.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Yeah.
I love
Get out of here, Packers.
Packers, that's it. Yeah, amen, brother. There you go. All that stuff. Now, you can bet on just more than just a score. You can bet on all the player props. Again, live in-game wagering, all that stuff. You hear Brad's going to go a lot of Green Bay unders, which we like. Also, there's always a way to win, even if your team doesn't score, with the incredible online casino games like blackjack, craps, roulette, poker, hot online slots like Peaky Blinders and Breaking Bad and Rocky.
Dude, I played the Rocky last time I was at Parks. It's phenomenal. And when you get the bonus and they play that Rocky music.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff. Don't forget, betparks.com has all the details. You can get up to $1,000 casino bonus back if you're down the first 24 hours. So check it out. If you got to be 21, you got to be in PA, New Jersey, Michigan, Maryland, Ohio. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, this portion of the program brought to you by Rite Aid. Go to riteaid.com for your nearest pharmacy and store. Now, joining us.
Dun, 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 dun.
I can't wait. Let's dive right into him. Hometown hero himself, Mr. ABC. ESPN, the great Kevin Negandhi.
Kevin!
What's up? Appreciate the
Tecmo Bowl shirt.
Dude,
Look out.
let me just say,
Randall.
you were phenomenal on the Rose Bowl parade. Yeah, like you had to deal with the New Orleans tragedy. Like there was a lot of stuff to deal with. I can't tell you how proud. My wife and I, before the games, we had you on. My mother-in-law was watching you, and my wife goes, "That's Anthony's friend. He's his good buddy." And she's like, "Oh, he's handsome." You did great, buddy.
I appreciate the kind words, and shout out to her. It's like Pasadena is an amazing experience. I've been very lucky. It was my 5th Rose Parade, working with Hannah, who's a legend. Her and I go way back. So it was very weird, obviously, because of the terrorist attacks in New Orleans, and you're celebrating the new year, but still obviously understanding the gravity of what we were dealing with earlier that day, trying to get more information, but at the same time, still making sure that, for most of the nation, they're waking up to the news, but at the same time, they want to, it's a tradition, I think, for many families to wake up and put on the TV, ABC, and watch the Rose Parade, right? So it was a fine line of understanding that, honoring and recognizing the lives lost in New Orleans, but at the same time, just saying, hey, we're here for New Year's Day. It's all leading up to a great afternoon of football later on. So the kind words, they don't go unnoticed. So thank you, guys.
All right, let's get started. Before we get into what I'm dying to talk to you about, because I love it, it's Eagles, Packers, brother. This is our time, man.
Finally.
How you feeling? Let's just start there. How you feel about the game?
I feel good because I think the strength of the Eagles remains intact with their offensive line. We'll get more information later on today about Jalen Hurts and whether he's practicing and how much he's practicing. That rust, I think, plays a role here. I mean, it'll be 17 days if he practices today since he threw a football. So I feel good. Listen, the Packers can beat you in so many ways because they have so many options at wide receiver, but losing Christian Watson's a big deal, man. He could stretch the field. Jordan Love's not 100%. This comes down to whether the Eagles are going to beat themselves or just play their own style of football. I believe they match up well against the Packers. Can they continue to do what they're doing? They can't afford to have a slow start, but to be truthful, expect a slow start, considering that Hurts is still going to be rusty if he plays. And to me, it comes down to how LaFleur and that offense can scheme against Fangio's defense and the backs that we have, and how do we handle the big moments. I feel good. It's weird, Ant. Fellas, the pessimist in me is like, there are too many confident people around me. I don't feel comfortable with all this confidence, right? But then there's also the reality is, when you look at it, the Eagles match up well, and they just can't afford to beat themselves up. The key will be limiting turnovers. We saw in that first game in Brazil, Jalen forced a lot of things, right? And he can't force things. They can't shoot themselves in the foot and give the Packers the short field. I'm very curious about Saquon Barkley. Like, a week off, pissed off, and pissed off in a sense that I'm ready to go now. It's my first playoff experience here in Philadelphia. I can't wait to see what kind of energy he brings.
Yeah, and I do think they match up particularly defensively. I think the Eagles' defense, as you brought up, without Watson, who could stretch the field, but even the way the way Fangio plays them, he doesn't get beat a lot with big plays, and the Packers are going to have to matriculate down the field, right? Jacobs, a lot of underneath stuff with Reed.
Yes.
And Dobbs. And I just think that's the Eagles' secret sauce on defense is, hey, at some point, you may get a couple first downs, but at some point, we're going to stop you.
Yes. Yeah. And to your point, Zach Bond will play a pivotal role.
Yeah.
He play a pivotal role with that second level, right? It is Jordan Love trying to dump the ball off to get, 6 to 8 yards. So it's second and short, or, 3rd and 1. That'll be interesting to see how, our linebackers pick things up here on the short field, considering, again, that they don't have the ability to stretch the field. I mean, Jaden Reed, though, we saw it. He can break off a couple big plays, man, in the open space. So where are our safeties? How are they going to handle that? I just can't wait, man. I know. It feels like it's been like a month since we saw real football, right? Because the Commanders game, heartbreak, but there's a little bit of the Commanders game. Hey, man, just don't get hurt. Like make sure we figure this out. Just don't get hurt. Now this feels like we've got something on the line, and it's been over a month. I can't wait.
Yeah, really, since the Baltimore game, right? You had the Rams, Baltimore back to back, because after that was Carolina. That was what it was, and then you mentioned Washington. The one thing, the opener, they gave up 29, and I just think that was completely different defense. And Cooper DeJean right now, they haven't seen that. They're so good tackling. I just think they match up too. When they're in nickel, even dime with Rodgers, I think they match up with the Green Bay receivers.
Yeah, you're 100% right, Ant. It's amazing how weird it is going into a playoff game and you feel really good about your defense. We haven't felt this in a while, right? And that's the difference of Fangio, right? My concern is the kicker, and my concern is the punter. And I can't believe I'm bringing these things up, but those small little things play a huge role, especially the last, that Washington game. That was a nightmare with our punting scheme. And the kicker still he just doesn't look that great, man. He doesn't look confident.
I mentioned that earlier, Kev. Like, my only concern, I think this is an easy one for the Birds. My only concern is the special teams. I think that could bite them maybe here or there, but I think the Eagles win. I'm saying, I don't know, by more than 2 touchdowns. I'm one of those overconfident guys that's worrying you. Don't let us worry you. We're good, man.
There's no more than 2 touchdowns.
You'll see.
No.
You'll be bringing me on Sports Center next week after I make this prediction. See you Wednesday, 6:00.
Hey, listen, if it's more than 2 touchdowns, I'll give you a shout out on social, VG.
Oh, perfect.
Holy cow, more than 2 touchdowns. That is, and that is a lot of confidence in that room.
I'm the only one. Everyone's all worried here. They think they're gonna squeak one out.
It's not
squeak
worried,
one
but,
out.
Again, like
This ain't a squeaker. Not a squeaker,
bro.
I think they win by like 7-8 points, something like that. I do think Kevin, I don't know if you think this. I don't think there's an area where the Packers are superior to the Eagles. If you match up unit by unit, I think the Eagles have the advantage at every position group.
I agree. The big question will be, where's our quarterback? How's he feel? How's he look? How comfortable is he? But I completely agree when it comes to you matching everything up. I mean, I will also say that I've got I give the Packers the lean there on the field goal kicker, Brandon McManus, the Temple guy. So I give and listen, man, that kick that he hit against Chicago was phenomenal at the end of the game. And he's been great for the Packers of late, hitting big things, big field goals. So if it's a close game, I'll be pretty tight, and then I'll be cussing at VG for putting that out in the universe.
Yeah,
they ain't beating the Birds kicking field goals. Ain't happening.
Chesty. All right, let's get to it. I'm dying. All right. Well, first of all, where are you going to be for the big games?
This weekend, nowhere. I'm actually going to be home tomorrow night, which I can't wait. And then Friday, I'll be probably doing a show leading into it. We still don't know because weather's pretty bad right now in Arlington. So they're trying to figure it out. I'm going to be on TV leading up to the game, but I'll be enjoying those 2 games. And I am great because I'll be at the Natty the week after. But I'll get to enjoy it.
Good. You get to watch with the kids.
Yes, the kids will be happy. We were at the Rose. We saw Ohio State. Holy cow. Oh my God. Ohio State looks like Ohio State that we all thought. We saw it in person. I could not believe what Oregon was doing when it came to coverage of Jeremiah Smith. I told my oldest, I said, just watch 4. My oldest already knows who Jeremiah Smith is. I said, just watch 4. Watch 4 and what they do. How do they defend him? I couldn't get over it. I was like, why do not understand single man coverage on number 4, Jeremiah Smith? And then the other thing I couldn't understand with Oregon, and I told my oldest at the end of the first quarter, I said, the crazy thing is Dylan Gabriel's not moving around. And I said, if he moves around a little bit, you create a little chaos outside the pocket, then you're going to be able to like connect on some passes and then you can flow. And at the end of the second quarter, he started doing it. Right. And then my son was like, you're right. I said, yeah, but they got to do that now every single drive in the second half. And then they couldn't score in that second half right out the gate when they had the ball. I was stunned with the Oregon game plan. Ohio State here's the biggest thing with Ohio State, Am. They could apply pressure to Gabriel by just rushing 4. And when you could do that in any game of football, you're going to win. And so as a result, I was stunned that Ohio State wasn't blitzing. They had the 4 guys applying pressure. Their offense and defensive lines the last 2 games have been unbelievable. And their biggest challenge will be Texas, because when you see how Texas lines up, just grown men.
Well, that's what I was going to bring it up to you. I like Texas to make this a game. Like, people are thinking it's about – I disagree. I love the Texas O-line. That Texas O-line's nasty, all right? You ain't getting home without bringing pressure, all right? You got to blitz to get home. My only thing is, and you got to help me here because I brought him up to you a million times. Ewers, I don't understand why Sark continues to play him. I know he's got an oblique too, so he has to put too much air under the ball. Like that, he missed several throws down the field, and he's got no mobility. Like, he moved a little better, but where is Arch?
I agree. I think there's an implicit trust, to your point, on Quinn Ewers from Sark running the offense. I think there's just the trust there. I mean, listen, they shouldn't have been in that position in the first place, but that 4th and 13 throw was unbelievable. Like, for him to figure that out at the end. But the one thing that's missing from Texas that everybody I've talked to, they do not have the killer instinct to close out a game because they let the opponent hang around and they play the level of the opponent, right? So maybe they play up here in a game like this against Ohio State. And the defensive front for Texas can apply pressure to Will Howard. Will Howard, the last 2 games, any quarterback can look good with number 4, and he's made great decisions, but he has time to make those decisions.
Yeah.
I think Texas can apply that pressure, and Texas's secondary is freaking really, really good.
Dude, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing. You know, I love Howard. He's a great kid. I love the story and his family. And after the Michigan game, he went home. But what did Michigan do? Michigan got in his grill. Texas would have gotten his grill, man.
Yes.
You're
100% right.
Yeah.
So you know what this game is going to come down to, in my mind? Texas's running game. If Texas can run the football, which they can, if they can run the football consistently, then they're going to have the big play.
Yeah.
If they can run the football, and that will be key here, especially if you move the ball on a big 6, 7, 8-minute drive, you keep Ohio State's offense off the field.
Everybody knows the SEC is a basketball conference.
What's that?
Everybody knows the SEC is a basketball conference, Kev.
Right now it is. Well, I'm not sure about Tennessee. Florida taking it down was brutal. But you're right. Like, it is interesting that you got the Big 12 champ from a year ago now representing the conference here in the semifinals.
It's funny. I'm glad you're with me. I'm seeing Texas all day. I think they win the game. Like I smell.
I think they
it.
got to go to Arch to win it.
I smell. Listen. I bend Kev's ears constantly because I just can't stand Hewers. But you know
what? One other thing that was brought up to me, which I found interesting yesterday, I was talking to Roman Harper from the SEC, and he said, Kevin, Texas is a completely different team in Texas. And he goes, no one's really talking about Ohio State travels really well. He goes, this is basically a home game for the Longhorns. Yeah. He's like, that environment, Texas plays really well when they're in the state. And I said, all right. I said, in the end, though, they've got to have, to your point, that defense has got to kind of apply the pressure to Will Howard. And if you apply pressure to Will Howard, you will figure some things out. And that's the key here specifically.
All right. When you were a kid.
Oh, boy.
On Saturday mornings, you watched the Joe Paterno show, right? I'm sure. And then on Sunday mornings, well before the Buddy Ryan show and the NFL Today, there was the Notre Dame recap that happened on Sunday mornings. And we were football starved because we didn't have it 24/7 back then. Yep. Where do you line up on them? This is unbelievable, man. I cannot wait for tomorrow night. Irish Knits. Oh, all right. My.
So, especially in that area, there are so many, so many fans of these two alma maters, and they never stepped foot on the campuses of both schools.
Yeah.
So I find that fascinating, all the back and forth. So I grew up obviously in a Penn State home. My brother went there originally before transferring to Temple, and I have 9 cousins that went to Penn State. So I'm obviously fully aware, like you said, you grew up on Penn State football because we didn't have really a lot of football in that area when it comes to college teams. And I despised Notre Dame. I despised everything about Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman has made me really enjoy Notre Dame because he's just such a good dude.
He's awesome.
He's
I
cool.
love Marcus Freeman. Cool. Yeah.
These teams are mirrors of themselves.
Yeah.
Literally, it's physicality, line, defense. The injury to Abdul Carter will play a role. Let's see where he's at because he is a game changer. The one thing that's crazy about Notre Dame, if you look at their last 4 games, so they had a 98-yard punt return in the last game. The previous game, Jeremiah Love had a 98-yard touchdown run. The previous game against USC, they had 2 pick sixes, one 99 and one 100 yards. So they have explosive plays, but they don't come from the quarterback, which is such a weird thing when you're talking about college football these days, right? So to me, the magic number for Riley Leonard is he's got to throw for over 150 yards. And Drew Aller, he hasn't looked that sharp the last 2 games. He was fantastic against Oregon in the Big Ten championship. Can Penn State have one game breaker aside from Tyler Warren that could stretch the field. Because Notre Dame, Evans played really well. He's played really well the last couple games. The Notre Dame's defense is fantastic, man. They are so well coached. They are disciplined. They understand. They have purpose, right? So I would give Notre Dame the edge in a game that's going to, I mean, I think the line is like 1.5. It's going to come down to a field goal here for me. And I would give the edge to Notre Dame just because of the coaching aspect of what we've seen from Marcus Freeman and how great this defense is in all three levels. Can Aller, he's got to make some bigger plays because Riley Leonard's going to rely on the run game and his legs.
Yeah, and you mentioned Abdul Carter, Kev. Like, he's the key to this because I think if he's playing, he's the perfect missile to hunt down Riley Leonard in that rushing attack. I think he is an absolute game changer in this matchup. So, as a LaSalle High grad, I hope he plays tomorrow night. But you're right. He is the difference maker in this.
Yeah, the guy got dinged up with his arm last week. There's nothing going to stop. He's going to play. He's going to play. But this is the biggest game of James Franklin's career, and I think James is fully aware of it. I think every Penn State fan is fully aware of it. It is wide open, the opportunity to get to, because when we saw the bracket play out, it's played out exactly how we thought it was going to play out for Penn State. Now you got to get over the hump, and there's a reason why you brought in Drew Aller. There's a reason why he's been hyped the way he is over the years. You have the best tight end in the country, a special kid in Tyler Warren. You have two phenomenal running backs. Now, can you put it all together in one 60-minute, I think, opportunity of a lifetime? I don't think you're going to get a better chance here for Penn State to make it to the national championship.
You're spot on, dude. You're spot on. And here's the thing about the Notre Dame front. They are thin. So,
yes,
that's a big deal. I actually think there's going to be plays to be made in the passing game that would loosen up Notre Dame's defense to be able to run the ball. But Aller has to make plays down the field.
He has to. If Aller makes, and I say this a lot sometimes in big games, but it's the truth. If Aller makes 5 throws, like big throws, it changes the entire game and Penn State wins. Because to your point, it'll open up the running game. Those two backs are so freaking good.
Yes, they are.
And everybody, I think, in the Northeast is fully aware of Singleton and Allen. I just don't think the country is. And they could have, and when I say the country, college football fans though, but when you're playing on a national stage in a game like this, they could be household names by the end of the night. That's how good those two backs are.
Totally. Now, the flip side is, I actually think there's plays to be made against the Penn State secondary.
Yes, for both columns. Yep. Now, here's the thing, Ant. Can Riley Leonard pull those things off? Because Riley Leonard, the problem with this offense is he thinks he wants to pass. Mike Denbrock, the OC, wants him to pass, but instinctively, I think if he doesn't see it, he's on the move. Like, no matter what, he's on the move. And again, there's a reason why he has 15 rushing touchdowns, and he's in the record books at Notre Dame for the way he runs with the football. I think Penn State's going to snuff it out. If Abdul Carter's all over the field, they're going to have to find another way. And Jeremiah Love's dinged up a little bit too. He's like a sports car, man.
Yes.
You get him out, you can ride him, but you got to be careful because, but he gets in the open field, man, good luck. You ain't catching him.
That's right.
You ain't catching him.
It's so weird though because at Duke, Leonard made plays with his arm.
He did. Yes, you're right. You're 100% right. And we've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It's kind of crazy to think of a quarterback in this day and age to pass for less than 100 yards and beat Georgia. But I'll add this. They beat Georgia by playing as Georgia, right?
Yes.
They out-Georgia. And a big reason why is I think it came down to coaching. I thought Marcus Freeman and his coaching staff were fantastic.
They were incredible.
Shout out to Al Golden and what he's done with the defense.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is we talked about Georgia's lack of playmakers on the outside all season long, missing McConkey, missing Bowers, and it played out again. Three big drops in that game that thwarted a comeback, that thwarted an early touchdown, that changed the whole game complexion.
They were sloppy all season. And you know what they did in the portal? They got a phenomenal kid from USC in Branch. That's the kid that his freshman year 2 years ago was, immediately compared to Desmond Howard. That guy, when that move was made, the Branch brothers went over there now to Georgia. When that move was made, I was like, oh no. Yeah. All right, Kirby's making sure they're not going to go through this again.
Yeah.
And he's going to get them right. It's wild that you saw all the talent at Georgia through the years, and they couldn't get one bona fide wide receiver. I mean, Aeneas Smith, I think it's Aeneas. I got the Aeneas kid from the Eagles. He is so talented. Lovett is so talented. They just can't hold on to the football.
They can't touch. They can't. It's amazing. A pizza board hands.
Arian Smith. Sorry.
Arian Smith. It's true. But you're spot on. So this is an amazing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. My God, this is.
It doesn't get any better, right? No, brother. It literally does not get any better. Like, the 5-day stretch here is fantastic. And I heard one of you guys talk about how this is your favorite NFL weekend. I would probably go next weekend's my favorite. But this is as close as possible to Nirvana. Yes. When you have Thursday,
and
Friday,
I would say this weekend because there's the 6 games, right? As opposed to the 4.
Yes. But we see some really bad matchups though. In some of these
I don't know, Texans, Chargers. I like the Chargers in the game. Buffalo, as good as Bo Nix is, Buffalo should destroy Denver, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. Can Pittsburgh, the way Steelers are playing, how do they have any chance against Baltimore? I know they usually have their number, but
no chance,
right?
Don't think so. That quarterback play is they just don't have any weapons. This is abysmal to watch.
The 2 best games, obviously Eagles for us, but the Sunday night game's fascinating with Daniels and Baker. How about the way Baker's playing? My God.
Good. He is a top 5 quarterback this year.
Let me tell you, when Baker is playing with confidence and nothing to lose, he is one of the scariest players on the field. And then anything Todd Bowles does defensively, I didn't want that matchup for us.
I know.
Because that, when he plays like I got nothing to lose and F everybody, Baker is scary good. Scary good. So
he's very likable when he's all chippy like that. I'm a Baker fan.
Yeah.
That's his identity. Oklahoma. Yeah, that's his identity. That's who he is. He likes when everybody doubts him. And man, they dealt with injuries. And they just slide guys. Bucky Irving and Jalen McMillan, they just slid right in, those 2 rookies, and they were fantastic.
Oh, my God. But you know what's awesome, too, is we watched McMillan at Washington last year. We watched Bucky in Oregon last year. And, you knew how explosive. And, man, they just don't miss him. They're right. McMillan's perfect opposite Mike Evans. Oh, my God.
Steal. He was a steal at the 92nd pick in the draft. I was like, holy cow, because he's really, really, really good. So,
it's true. And then
I want to say one thing. Yeah, I want to say one thing. You guys talk about betting before you introduce me. I do want to say one thing. I think I may have shared this with you, Ann. I finished in a Sports Center league with 40 people, guys that I work with, producers and all talent and all this stuff all season. 51 games above 500 against the spread this season in the NFL. Yeah.
51 games.
Number
500.
Yeah. So this is the funny thing. I do want to share this story because I think everybody can relate that's ever laid $1. Because obviously Thursday you got to get the games in, and I was a little late. Hey, we're doing this league. Okay, yeah. And send the link. All right. No money. I just started picking games, and I'm like, all right, feel. And then Tuesday I come into work, and they'd be like, hey, you got 11-5. And I'm like, what? And I'd look, and I just didn't care. I just kept on doing it. And then 3 weeks ago, I was like, one of my buddies who's really into it was like, dude, you are on a heater. Have you realized how good you've been lately? Have you laid down $1? And I'm like, not $1. I said, I have not cared. And if I do care, I'm going to shit the bed. I was like, I cannot care. I cannot put $1 on this. I cannot. And then the minute I actually started paying attention, I went 6-10, and then I'm gripping, and I'm like, dude, I hate this. I hate doing this. And then I finished the season 8-8 in that final regular. But it was like the perfect thing. The final 2 weeks, I was rolling, feeling good, and then I started paying attention. I went 6-10 and 8-8. So it's just
beautiful, man.
Funny story to share with you guys. So, like, again, like a couple of my buddies were like, dude, just don't lay $1. Just tell me who you're picking. And I'm I don't think it works like that, man. The betting, gambling gods, they know, man. They know when you give a shit.
That's right. That's right. That's brilliant. My brother, we love you. Best to my nephews and my niece, all right? Thanks, buddy.
Hey, Kev,
best of the family, all right?
Before we get out of here, Kev, remember where you came from. Don't ever lose that Notre Dame hate. It's healthy.
Hey, listen, Marcus Freeman, though, is a good dude. He is a good dude.
I understand. You know, Jay Wright's a good dude at Villanova, but I always hated Nova. You can't lose it.
And listen, I tell Jay Wright that all the time. Jay's a good dude. He handles it really well. And me and you are on the same page. Let's just say I've gone from hate to neutral. Let's just say that.
All right.
Hate to neutral, okay?
Yep.
Irish.
Yeah, this guy.
Be good, fellas.
See you, brother. You be real. You hate Villanova because you're a Syracuse fan.
No.
Yes, it is.
No.
You're a Cuse fan.
I hate Georgetown because I'm a Syracuse fan.
Stop.
I hate Villanova because of those yacht-loving, fancy, mansion-living Nova mainliners.
You're a Sherman Douglas lover.
I am. Absolutely.
Ronnie
Unapologetically.
Cycling.
Yes.
Derek Coleman.
Lawrence Poetry and Moten.
Lawrence Poetry and Moten. That's
Yeah,
fantastic. That's why you hate Nova. Stop. Don't even try it. Don't even try it.
Country club kids. They're like, "You country club guy over here." You know?
I'm not
No,
a country
he's
club
not
guy.
a country club guy. Come on, he's the bro.
Yeah.
No one's more bro-ish
Just
than the
busting
bro.
some stones.
All right, lots to get to. We got to take care of some business, talk about our friends, and then I want to throw it back to you guys about kind of looking ahead with Sirianni, with Hurts, all right, and kind of putting the bow together with these guys, all right? First, let's talk about Primo Hoagies.
I could go for one right now.
Yeah, I know, dude. Think about it. With this week ahead of us.
Oh, I just need a party tray for myself.
Yes.
Like for the 5 days
For
of
the
football.
5 days, right?
You set up a daily delivery.
This is the holy 5 days. It's the holy days of football. The holy days of football begin. And, you know, sometimes there's fasting involved, sometimes whatever it is. Our holy days begin and end with Primos.
You need a good base for all these football games.
Correct. All right. Like, so if I give you your first pick, what are you taking?
Turkey Diablo. Can't miss.
Turkey. I do go off of the turkey Schwartzy too.
Yeah,
Big
that's
fan
good.
of the Schwartzy.
Yeah.
What's the Schwartzy?
It's like a turkey special, like Swiss cheese, Russian dressing, coleslaw on a roll.
All right.
Yeah.
On one of
All
those
right.
nice
I'm a
cedar
big
rolls.
cutlet guy too.
The cutlet.
The bada bing.
Yeah. Chicken whacked.
Yeah, is that the one with the prosciutto on top?
That's good. I like the old school too. Like I'm an old school, like the old world with the old Italian meats.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Italian.
And like you know, it's the best. I'm a heat guy.
It's not your
Or
world.
the
It's not your world. They do a good Italian tuna hoagie.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah,
And you know what I always grab
You know
from
what? I
the
use the olive oil.
Yep.
the to-go case, the pepper poppers?
Yes.
I always
Yes.
grab a pack of those on the way
And
out.
there's nothing better than the pepperoni tray, the pepperoni cheese.
The pickies.
Right? It's
I'm getting real
fantastic.
hungry.
I know. Made only on the finest human meats and cheeses, man. It is Primo Hoagie. So I've been telling you about Primos for, 25 years, ever since they started franchising. Big Nick. Now Nick Jr. taking it to new heights over at Primo Hoagies. They're just like the original. In 1992 on Rittner Street. Now over 100 locations. There's over all across the Delaware Valley. Just go to PrimoHoagies.com. And for the holy days of football, there's only one item. That's right, Primo Hoagies. You'll say what I always say, not just hoagie. It's a Primo. Awesome. Let's talk about Parks Casino. We're going to be there tonight. How about it, Frage? Parks Casino.
Oh, yeah, because it's corner tonight.
Yes, that's right. And here we go. The great acts at Parks Casino, the Excite Center. Bro, you're in for a treat here. You ready for this?
Yeah.
Because we tell you all about them, and these guys do the acts. So let us begin. Parks Casino, Street Road, Ben Salem. This is how you win Pennsylvania's #1 casino. Just announced Larry the Cable Guy, May 16th.
Get her done.
SNL's Colin Jost returns 2 nights at Parks Casino, March 14th and 15th.
I love buffalo wings and eat them at least 3 times a week.
I'm hoping ScarJo follows him. I might go just for that.
Yeah.
Just see if she shows up.
Yeah.
Country star Cole Swindell, February 7th.
Tails, Carolina.
Heads, California. Tails, Carolina.
You flipped it.
I did?
You did.
No.
Yeah, it goes heads, Carolina, tails, California.
All right, you start off
The
with
tail's
tails.
better in California
tails.
anyway.
You started off with tails.
Yeah, well, all right.
January 18th, the reggae sounds of Shaggy.
But you caught me on the counter.
It
Wasn't me.
January 24th, actor Richard Kind from Curb Your Enthusiasm.
Whoa, Larry. Whoa, hey.
Pennsbury High School's finest, Richard Kind.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. February 8th, Jerry Cantrell, Alice in Chains.
I'm the man in the box.
March 8th, magician Michael Carbonaro.
Hey, guys, I'm the best magician in America.
Country star Lee Bryce Harper.
There's
Watch
a
this.
rumor going round about me and you.
Enjoy dinner and drinks at Liberty Bell Gastropub, Parks Grill Steakhouse, The Bamboo Noodle House, ParksCasino.com to buy tickets for all shows. Parks Casino, this is how you win. You got to be 21. If you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER.
And don't sleep on that romantic night. Great White and Slaughter, February 14th, Parks Site Center.
Sing it.
Up all night, sleep all day.
This portion of the program brought to you by TrueMark Financial Credit Union. Go to TrueMark.com/PHLY to find out the credit union difference right here. All right, couple things. One, since today's theme was the entire season, this being one of the best seasons ever.
2,000-yard rusher, number 1 defense. Like, yeah, you're right. It was awesome.
And it's fascinating how
Coach
the whole
shaving
thing,
his head.
right? It's how the whole thing turned out, right? Where the signing of Barkley and bringing in the coordinators, obviously Vic Fangio, I think Kellen Moore's done a good job, but bringing in those guys have really that was the key to the season. No, having Barkley allowed Jalen with Barkley, what Jalen could do in the run game, and what he could do with his legs, helped fuel Barkley as well.
I got to give Howie some props. I think Howie had a big deal. He shifted perspective. He hasn't been a big running back guy. He's shifted there. He hasn't been a big draft secondary guys high. He hit home runs with them. I think Howie's a big part of this. He had a great year.
Defense, and this is where Howie, I think, is the MVP of the whole thing. He rebuilt the defense.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he let Vic, push all in on Zach Bond. That was unproven. That takes some, you got to put him on the table to be like, yeah, okay, I'll trust you, Vic. And then I think what he did with Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell, it's not a coincidence the season flipped when Cooper DeJean starting. I think a big benefit was having the bye early to kind of regroup and reset. They were missing a lot of tackles. They were sloppy. They weren't running the ball yet. They kind of like reinvented their identity a little bit in that bye week. And I think it all started with Cooper DeJean playing.
Well, I'm with you. I also think the complete MVP of this whole team defensively is Carter.
Yeah.
Right? Like
He's a
Jalen
beast.
Carter. Look, most teams are driven by their ends, right? Like when it comes to pressure. The Eagles are driven by him.
So this conversation kind of came up in our Discord channel here with all the diehards, and it's there's a lot of fun discussions that happen in there. If you're not a diehard yet, you should become one. Just for Fran's draft coverage alone.
Oh my God!
Plus,
Wait till
there's
that-
gonna be, we're going to be unveiling a ton with Fran. It's gonna be
Yeah.
awesome. But this conversation came up because they're 13th in sack rate, but 28th in pressure rate. And one of the guys was making the point, it feels like it's a little bit lucky. And I was like, this is where I'll disagree with you. I said, because most of their pressure comes from the inside. And when you're coming from Jalen Carter and forcing the quarterback to move and break a pocket, I think there's a difference. So I don't think it's lucky.
Yeah.
I think it's that quarterbacks have to bail more often and extend plays because Jalen Carter is just wrecking things.
Yeah, because there's nothing worse for a quarterback than pressure in your face.
Yeah, it's the worst.
People talk about the blind side. You have a feel. You could step up, right? You could move. When you got that pressure in your
The baby
face,
rhino
it
coming at you?
paralyzes you.
Yeah.
And Carter,
He's a freak.
he
man.
is. He's ridiculous. And those picks. I mean, obviously, Davis has not really done anything. But
he's good in the run game situationally.
Yeah,
he's fine.
got to be. Like, unfortunately,
I can't call him a bust, but he didn't live up to the
right. Like you got to be both. You got to be able to give me some passing snaps too. But look at how he did defensively has paid off.
And I give Howie credit. Like
Kobe turned out to be a player.
Huff is a bust. But there wasn't, I don't even know if he could have been heavy-handed with Fangio about playing him, but there was no power struggle. Fangio's not playing him. Howie's cool with it. I think that's a big deal with Howie.
Yeah, but if you're Howie, though, what do you care? That
it's a blemish. It's a big sign. It's a big free agent signing of the season.
Okay, but everything else worked.
Yeah, right. I know. But I'm just saying, I'm giving him props for being cool with it.
And Nolan Smith, to the point, kind of bailed him out of that.
Yeah,
because Nolan Smith took a step this year. He looks like a viable DN. And Josh Sweat kind of bounced back on that 1-year type of prove-it deal. So luckily, some of his other moves counterbalanced.
And he had made statements in the offseason about Nolan Smith and those guys being like, well, they just need to play. They play. And with Huff, he was like, all right, he's sitting. That's fine.
Yeah, the only thing with Huff is, when I look back at it, where the mistake is that I just think he's a player that needs his hand in the dirt. I mean,
Vinny's talked about that all year.
Baldy talked about that early on, and like every one of his sacks last year came with his hand in the dirt.
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like he's the third down specialist he was, if anything. He's not a 3-down guy.
You know who's really just kicking themselves? Hassan Reddick has got to be in absolute hell right now. He gets a half sack on the year. He's watching his hometown team be the most fun team in the league. Saquon's going for 2,000 yards, number 1 defense in the league. And I understand why you went for the cash grab, and I'll never dock a player for going for the cash. But man, he's got to be in hell right now.
Yeah.
Watching this unfold, knowing there's a home playoff game at the Link on Sunday with Vic Fangio got this defense humming, that sucks.
So I got a message. I need to bring this up to you, right? And there's a guy who in the media, right, national media, not here, and he said to me, he's like, "How's Philadelphia feeling about Jalen Hurts?" I said, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, Green Bay is going to take out." I said, "Yeah, no, they're going to sell out, try to stop Barkley." He's like, "Yeah, they're going to look to try to stop Barkley and put the game in Hurts' hands." And I said, "Well, the great panacea was Pittsburgh, because the Steelers did that, and Hurts had a tremendous game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, he was on the money and the whole thing." And he said, "Well, does that mean he's going to do it again?" And I go, "Oh, I mean, all you got to do is..."
Why not?
I mean,
against this secondary?
I can only point to that game as to where teams sold out. And he said, "Well, all right, like, if that's what you believe." And it was almost insinuating that we were taking it for granted that he would have. And I'm like, well, it's man coverage. Like, you can't stay with A.J. Brown. There's right on those inside slants. I think, comfortable Hurts making that throw across the middle.
Yeah.
That timing throw to AJ.
I don't know why they don't do it more often.
It's one of those.
It's a gimme.
Right? It feels
and AJ
like
with contested catches is like 100%.
And that's when Hurts is at his best, when he gets rid of the football and he's quick. AJ beats his man, and that thing works.
When Tanner McKee was in, it's almost like that's probably how they envision the offense going a little bit more. Two-step, three-step drop, and boom,
he was
boom,
like,
boom.
He brought up Kellen Moore, and he's like, Kellen Moore is hampered because of what Jalen likes to do and what he doesn't like to do.
Sure.
The Steelers secondary is better than this banged-up Packers secondary right now.
Yeah.
I mean, if he could do it against the Steelers, I don't see any problems with the Packers.
Yeah, I kind of had that same kind of vibe. Obviously they're going to try to take away Saquon.
Sure.
But because that's what you have to do. Because if you don't do that, Saquon gashes you and you have no chance.
But then if Jalen does have that early success, then Saquon just opens up in the second half and it's game over.
We've seen that again and again. Second half Saquon's.
Yeah. But so I'm glad you kind of, because I was arguing with a little bit. Like, I was kind of getting, not annoyed, but I was like, listen, I mean, I could be the biggest critic when it comes to any quarterback, let alone Jalen, right? Like, listen, there's things, but I think those throws he should be able to make.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to attack the middle of the field this week too. To AJ, to Devontae, to Dallas.
I get the Ross thing and the concussion thing and coming off it, not having thrown a ball for 3 weeks. I get it, But at some point, that throw becomes second nature, right? Like he's going to practice today, right? And he's going to make those throws. Now, I get it, games, live missiles, the whole thing. But he should be able to at some point find the rhythm when it comes to that throw.
Yeah, and I trust Kellen to create the rhythm. High percentage, nice, easy passes early on.
All right, so the last thing I'm going to bring to you, this has to do with Nick Sirianni. And, in fact, VG brought it up yesterday. We were talking about it with the Jeremy Fowler report that they have to win.
Yeah.
Or else, or at least get to the championship game, or else Nick's in jeopardy. And I don't understand that. I have to be honest. I don't get it. I don't understand why. After what he's done this season, we're talking about one of the great seasons of all time. How in the world could you possibly put a caveat on it?
When I first heard the report, I think I was filling in for you. It was last Thursday or Friday. I actually said I can buy it just because, one, I was surprised he came back. At the end of last offseason, I thought he was toast.
Okay, that's fair.
So I think
he does come back.
Sure.
Not only does he come back, but he faces great adversity, right? Off-season adversity. Jalen didn't talk to him. He was mad at him or whatever. Right? They didn't talk to each other. Then the season goes underway.
He brings his kids up on everybody's got pitchforks out.
2-2, and everybody's freaking out. And then they go on this epic run.
They won, 9 in a row or 10 in a row? I'm with you. I do think part of it is this roster is so talented and so win now that if after 4 years, I do buy the report a little bit.
4 years, and how many wins?
I know, but you're seeing coaches get just knocked off a year, into rebuild.
Not with this many wins.
Well, I think because of the impressiveness of the roster, it comes with you got to
the belief in the building down there would have to be this roster.
I think it's only real if they lost this first game.
Yes.
I think if they lose to the Packers at home, it becomes a totally different conversation.
I think the coach being a national story 3 times a year for Annex weighs on people down there. I do. And I feel like
Zach's always said it.
They think this roster is so good that
Laurie doesn't care what local people say. He cares what people in the NFL say.
Fine.
So I wonder what people in the NFL say if they lose to the Packers.
All those wins.
I know.
And by the way,
it's the third best winning percentage ever after 4 years, fifth.
Who's
ahead of George Hallis?
Who's out there that you go, oh my God, I have to have this guy who's a huge upgrade over Sirianni?
I mean, in their minds, they'll just find another Sirianni, another assistant somewhere and pluck them in.
I don't know, maybe a Joe Brady, Ben Johnson, but Ben Johnson's not.
I don't know, wide receiver coach somewhere they picked out Sirianni. I mean, I think they think they can just win with almost any coach with the system set up.
Yeah, but I don't. Again, the players
go get Mike McCarthy. It's a joke.
Don't hit me.
He's a boob. I'm kidding. It was a joke.
Did you see that report?
They're bringing him back, the Cowboys.
No, but did you see the report that the Bears
requested him?
Yeah,
and the Cowboys denied it.
Right? I love Jerry Jones. I used to hate Jerry Jones. I love this man right now. He's like the greatest caricature owner. He's like Mr. Burns from The Simpsons running a football team.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
How about with what he said with when he was being heckled here on the field? You're the greatest.
You're the best, Jerry. Keep it up. Well, Micah Parsons just said last night the Cowboys are winning the Super Bowl next year, so get ready for that.
Yeah, Tyreek is going there. Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
He's apparently
him and CD would be filthy.
Yeah,
it would be.
I mean, it's assuming
he got a lot to fix otherwise in other areas, but
yeah.
You going hunting today, Frazier? You got your camouflage gear on?
No. Just wearing a long sleeve shirt. Just happens to be camo.
You spend a little bit of time up in North Bucks County these days.
I grew up in Bucks County. There was a lot of hunters in my neighborhood.
You have a shirt like that?
Nah.
It's a doe season.
It's my
That's a doe
heartbeat,
season
all right?
shirt.
That's where I came from, man.
It's a buck season or doe season.
Come on, bike chain.
That's right. We steal our chains.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about it. And he's like, he was, I'm going to take you hunting. I went, all right. But I can't be in a tree stand.
When I was
sit in
in
a tree, be quiet and wait. Spray some of They spray like buck urine on you or something.
It's the pheromone.
on you?
yeah,
like-
deer piss.
Yeah, it's like, deer piss, duck.
When I was out in Australia, we went out to the bush one weekend for a party, and we were staying at a farm, and the farmer took us out kangaroo hunting.
What?
Oh, those kangaroos are nasty, man.
Did you see one?
Yeah,
You get
I
messed
couldn't
up.
shoot it. The thing was adorable.
Adorable a kangaroo?
Yeah,
Oh, I agree.
what? That's a cute
Yeah, I
animal.
love
You
Well-
guys are nuts. Kangaroos are like
They're nasty.
animals that
Well,
have
the
been in
farmers
prison
ate 'em.
all jacked up and ready to
Yeah,
fight.
I liked them.
But like the little kids are joeys.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
what's
yeah.
not cute
Oh,
about
Little
that?
kid kangaroos, sure.
Yeah, you
But
can't.
those full adult ones, they're all swole and
I know.
angry.
And they're pests to farmers. That's why they hunt them. 'Cause
Yeah.
They eat all their crops. But like he had me on the back of the pickup truck with a rifle. He's like, take a
Yeah.
shot, and I was like, I missed.
Yeah, I couldn't kill a marsupial.
No, yeah, I mean they feel so close. To
I know.
us.
I feel you.
Yeah.
I have
Plus,
guilt.
I like the way they
Dude, they're crazy with that. They're nuts.
They're all
They knew the fighter stance. They could
know.
bring
Yeah. You ever see the guys whose dog
Yeah,
get
yeah.
attacked by a kangaroo and they
Yeah,
go out and
yeah.
square up with them?
Yeah. Yeah.
They're pretty
They're
funny.
nasty.
Yeah.
They're kind of cool.
I respect
animals.
them.
Yeah,
I respect the
I
kangaroo.
agree.
Yeah.
All right, time now for a little Rite Aid back in the day moment. Back.
We're going back. We're going back. We're going back in the day with Rite Aid. Yeah!
All right, guys, here we go.
We got Frazier.
We're going to go back to 2017 when the road to the Super Bowl first started. They came out with a lot of promotional videos, and this one is actually pretty cool. So we're going to play that and get us hyped for this weekend when the Eagles dominate the Packers.
And, boy, it's been a while since a number one seed hasn't felt like a number one seed.
The Philadelphia Eagles are the first number one seed in history to start the playoffs as an underdog. There is an impression the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be trampled on by the Falcons, and that perception might be right.
Why are the Falcons just going to walk in here on the Eagles' home field and win this game like that? Why is that even in people's heads? I just don't understand it.
You lost the most important position on the field, the quarterback, and a guy who was playing at an MVP level in Carson Wentz.
And we talked as much about the defense being a factor
Mikey
as we
Mitch.
did Carson Wentz, which is still there.
And they've got a good team. You don't win 13 games by being a one-man team.
The bottom line is whatever it takes. And they got two players on this team that understand that, LeGarrette Blount and Chris Long.
Well, I know my attitude is I'm ready to play a playoff game. I didn't need to hear any bulletin board material or anything like that from the media or, online about, we're underdogs. Whatever. I really don't care. I just want to play football, and playoff football, you should have plenty of motivation. You shouldn't need that. So our record speaks for itself. We're here for a reason. We've earned it. And in the postseason, we got to earn it all over again.
And then the guys on this squad that won Super Bowls, like Malcolm, like Chris, that you've had stand up, what was kind of the thinking going into that idea?
I've always sort of appreciated the players who have been there.
Poor
done
Doug.
That.
Doug's on his ear.
Trent Baalke goes to their preparation.
But at least Doug, listen, Doug's living his best life.
And for them to kind of shed a little light.
Doug's
on
playing golf
this
every day.
Yeah,
postseason.
I'd love to be Doug right now.
Oh my God, sitting on millions.
Yeah.
Right?
It's the same
Who cares?
field, same color grass, same football, same rules. The only thing that's different is the distraction around the game. The fact that if you lose, you're going home. The fact that everybody's watching you and you're so much closer to your goal, but in the reality where your feet are, it's the same. Obviously, you're going to do everything you can and exhaust yourself to make sure you prepare for this game. But at the end of the day, don't get out of character. We've been here. I mean, it's the teams that can focus on the smallest things. We're going to get punched in the mouth, be able to just keep chipping at it. Somebody get hurt, next guy up, they score, next guy up. That's how we've been operating all year. So don't get away from that. We got a lot of vets on this team.
Do you remember how we were nuts that year? Bro and I doing the morning show.
We'll pause it there.
We were doing the morning show.
Because you got that feeling and I think Chris Long has said this, it didn't matter who came in, they were going to catch these hands. It just felt like it was finally time. I remember calling you, Sunday morning, because I met VG down at Chickies and Pete's for a good luck beer with our buddy Hicks. And I called into you because you were doing a Sunday morning.
At Grand Cafe Lockwheeler.
Yeah, special that day. And I was driving down to Chickies and I was like so fired up. I was like gripping my wheel like this. And I was listening to you and I just called in. I was like, yeah. And I'm not going to lie. I got a little bit of that same kind of
the vibe? You have the same vibe?
A little bit, yeah. Like, bring it on. I don't care who we face. You know, I've heard some people say they're scared of the Bucs, scared of the Lions, Brian Flores and the Vikings defense, Matthew Stafford. I kind of think they're the best team in the NFL. Now, that doesn't guarantee that they win it, but I think they're the most complete team, and I think they can beat anyone on any given day.
Yeah, I agree that they can beat anyone on any given day. Baldy's is 4-0, right? So he's an objective guy. I don't know if I feel it. I don't know if I
think
don't know.
Sunday will determine how much I feel it.
There's something about, like, 18 was magic. This year,
it's a harder path.
They're really good.
It's a harder path.
They're better than they were in 18.
Far better.
I think more complete.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can say far better.
I mean, look at
The
their
skill,
offense.
dude.
Way better.
Yeah.
Way better.
Alshon was a beast that year. LeGarrette Blount was awesome.
Okay. Not better
He
than
was
Barkley. AJ
No,
Brown,
he's not
Devontae.
individually.
Not even close.
But that
he was
offense
a beast compared with what we were used to.
Yeah, but that offense was steamrolling people. Remember when the Denver Broncos came in here in
agree,
like
but
week 13? They hung like 42 on them.
Yeah, 50 burgers.
Yeah,
but
they were
didn't play
something just
anybody.
clicked that year.
Oh, we're up against it. Wow, bro, make it a habit. We love you. Everybody, we love you. Have a great day. Oh, we'll be back to begin it. The
Tomorrow,
holy days of
5
football
days.
begin tomorrow. Yeah, have a great day, everybody. We'll see you in the morning.
We all silly like the mayor.